is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
Welcome to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Dawes. I want to thank y'all for joining me. Long time no see. Last week was awful, and this week is just the gift that keeps on giving, ain't it? It feels like this April has been long. I've had a great time, but work has been crazier than normal. And, when people say that there's nothing like being self-employed, there isn't. But it is a whole lot of work for sure. Oh gosh. But yeah, no, I haven't been able to get into the recording studio for a while. So I guess the first bit of news is the fact that I'm going to be making up the fact that I missed a week with y'all. This weekend, this Saturday, I will be releasing episode 15 of the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'll be recording them back to back. Of course, I'm going to stay on the stuff I had already had last week's episode planned. So luckily, I still have some stuff. And then I'll plan what would have been this week's original episode 15. Record that, release it Saturday. And then that way we get back in the routine because we should be on 15 going on 16. So that way I continue to make it up to y'all for the episode I missed. Y'all get basically, you do get 2 episodes of the Conservative Colonel Podcast this week. So that's something that I hate to tell you, it's not become a regular thing, but it just feels like the right thing to do. I feel like I shortchanged y'all. It was not happening last week. Oh my gosh. It seemed like anytime I was about to sit down in the recording studio, I would have to go do something and 3 hours would go by. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I have the time. My Wi-Fi would go out. And then my Wi-Fi was out for the whole day. So I couldn't get anything uploaded. I couldn't record. Because of the software I use to record our episodes, it requires Wi-Fi or it'll come out awful. So it was one of those things where it's like, I have really, last week was just the gift that kept on giving. That Wednesday, which is when I normally record my episodes, it was just, oh my gosh, it just was the gift that kept on giving. But the good news is we'll get back into it. So for those who do not know, well, I don't really know how to describe the pause that just happened. Like 10 minutes have went by. I just ate supper. So nothing will make you feel like a 25-year-old man other when your grandmother is like, hey, I fixed you some supper. I was like, oh, okay. Thank you. So luckily my recording studio is at my grandparents' house because I'm a farmer. I don't have any Wi-Fi at my house. There's barely any connection out there. So luckily I didn't have to drive, 10, 15 minutes into town, but there's nothing that says, I'm a real man. Honey, your scrambled eggs and sausage is ready. I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, no, I'm on a diet, and I love my grandmother. She's like my mom, and she has been really helping me through it. My doctor was like, "Hey, you need to lose some weight," and I was like, "Oh, all right then." So she's been a real champ throughout this whole process, and I can't thank her enough. But it has made me completely lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, so like for example, for one time only, I will be releasing the podcast version of this and the video on YouTube the same day. So tomorrow, Thursday, I will be uploading both of them. And then the Saturday episode will have the podcast Saturday, and the video format will be uploaded to YouTube too, just like normal. So the thought process is, this episode was supposed to come out last week, so I'm gonna go ahead and release everything today or tomorrow. And then the Saturday episode is making up for the fact that was supposed to be this week's episode. So I'll keep it on track, the normal schedule we have. So for those who do not know, Thursdays are when our episodes air here at the Conservative Colonel podcast. And then on Tuesday, though, the next Tuesday, we have the video format of that episode air. Just something different I wanted to do. I had no idea the Midnight Ride was going to be doing, video podcasts. I hadn't really seen that before. I've seen a lot of people do it, but I didn't see a lot of podcasts do it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Usually it shows that started off as a video format. So, and they did start off as a video format, but I think you get what I'm saying. When I originally did this, I was like, that will make me different. And I know I enjoy listening to podcasts on audio format, but if I'm at home doing homework, for instance, I love watching it in video format. My hat is all types of crooked. You can't see that. I always forget. It's the craziest thing, but yeah. I like I know I used to listen somewhat to the Joe Rogan podcast, and then Steven Crowder's podcast, and like most of the time, I would rather watch when it's an interview, two people. Now I like seeing the dynamic. I love seeing them messing with each other and doing stuff that sometimes you won't be able to tell on a podcast. But, I also just love the fact that I can download my podcast. I can drive. I love driving. It gets my mind off things. And that's what I love to do. I did find two great history podcasts. I'm a big history guy over the week. And one has over 900 episodes, closing in on 1,000. The other has, I think, 300. And then they kind of did a soft reboot, and they're on episode 10 of that soft reboot. So I got plenty of good material that I'll be binge listening, I guess is the term. I'm also starting to read history books again. So, it's a great time. But before we get too far into nonsense, please remember you can support us every Thursday on Spreaker, our main platform, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Pod Chaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. And of course, on Tuesdays, we upload that week's episode on Rumble and on YouTube. So it's been great. So please support us there. Of course, we also have our own website, conservativekernel.com. Had to, feel the version of Chandler from Friends on that one. But yeah, go support us there. Leave us a 5-star review. Like it. Follow, subscribe on your catcher of choice. And of course, support the Midnight Ride. You can check it out under the Conservative Allies tab on podcast. Great conservative allies. You'll see Chris McDaniel's America, the Right Side Radio, and of course the Midnight Ride. That will grow. I'm also going to, at some point, I don't know when, probably when I'm ready to be like, you know what, let's piss everybody off, friends, family, podcast supporters, just piss everybody off at that point. You know, I'll put a website I support tab. Some people will get that joke, some will not. I think it's a joke because I think, of course, leftist media just take stuff and run with it. But you know, it is what it is. Oh, but yeah, we do have some news to actually get into. Both are national news. Just stuff I really kind of wanted to talk about because it just blew my mind when I saw it. And it was just stupid. So I guess I'll start off with this one. President Joe Biden has officially knocked women's rights back decades. So, as we all know, Title IX is supposed to help women with equal rights and opportunities. You know, like the equal right to play sport. You know, that's why we have a lot of women's sports. It required schools to, you know, if there's a men's team, there needs to be a women's team. It did some good. You know, I have not looked into it, honestly. I have not. I'm just reporting on this news here specifically. But I don't know how good Title IX actually was. Or yeah, it was. It's worse now. Either way, the side you're on. But you know, I'm an honest person. I haven't really looked into Title IX that much to form an opinion on it because, again, you know, I just got into politics recently, and politics just had some dominating issues that really doesn't give you time to look at everything. But you know, Biden making sure he undoes decades of human rights with changes, you know, to Title IX's law. Now, guess what Title IX does? It protects trans people, transgender, you know. And it blows my mind, Joe Biden. It really does. So now, you know, people who are a man that for some reason thinks they're a woman, they can go in the woman's bathroom and be a creepy little guy. And guess what? Joe Biden has allowed them to do that. This is really like just you can't make it up anymore. It gets better every time. You can't really do anything but sigh. It like what else does it do? Yeah, stop. The new rule is to stop gender discrimination in schools and colleges, and forcing schools to require that everybody calls this person by their preferred pronoun crap. You know, I'll make it clear for you. If you're born a boy, you are a boy. If you're born a girl, you are a girl. It's that simple. It's science, actually. And, you know, I'm not a scientist, or sometimes I can't be the smartest tool in the shed, but I understand that. You know, I ask these people that say that this isn't hurting women's rights. I was like, well, at first, can you identify what a woman is? And they can't because genders are just growing on trees now. And I'm not even shocked anymore. This is just a ploy because of election time. that Biden has decided now is the time to attack women one more time. It honestly just, I'm saying honestly a lot tonight. I must be rusty. But yeah, no. So now gender identity is on the list of protected rights. Again, if you want to identify as an attack helicopter, by all means do it. It's America. You have the right to do that. But you don't have the right to enforce your delusions upon others. And that's where I have a problem with a lot of this stuff. It's not just the fact that they're like, well, you have the right to do everything you want in America. Yeah. But, I have the right to speed, but I'm going to get a ticket. Again, you can't just force this stuff on people. And it looks like it just gets worse the more I read about it. But yeah, I go on and it's like, yes, and this is to make every school a safe place. That crap that they push, that this is a safe place. Well, I hate to tell you, school is supposed to invite thought. Thought can cause disagreements. I guarantee you, as a historian, because I view some facts differently, I have offended people in discussing history. For example, there was a discussion that was George Washington even a Christian? And I'm of the viewpoint he is. I have letters, I have facts. And, this person got offended that I was like George Washington was a Christian. George Washington, the father of our country, was a Christian. And they couldn't get it through their head. And I offended them. But that is the process of thought. You're supposed to go to university to learn, to excel, to prepare yourself for the world. High school, you're supposed to learn the basics. What is a person's basic educational needs in the country? Now, of course, I would love the well, here's how you write a check, here's how you balance your checkbook. But, if you're going to school for some of this stuff anyway, you're crap out of luck. Our education system is ran by the liberals, and they don't know how to run anything. But yeah, this takes effect August 1st, is what I'm reading. And again, this is just a ploy for election votes. Joe Biden's hoping to get the transgender vote on his side. He's hoping to get the confused people, the mental illness people on his side. Because, I'll say it. I'm brave enough to say it. I believe if you think that you're a cat, a dog, someone who doesn't have a gender, you need help, and I hope you get it. Honestly, that's my personal opinion. Now, again, you can do anything you want in this country. If you want to howl at the moon and wear a tail, crap, have at it. Keep it out of my children's face. I don't have a child, but if I did, keep it out of my child's face. And just don't do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I guess let some of us sleep. But it's this forcing it on people that really pisses me off, really gets me mad. And it just doesn't stop. It really doesn't. But yeah, good old Joe. You can always rely on good old Joe Biden. Hopefully he gets the mental illness people's votes. I will be happy for the good for you, brother. Have at it. But yeah, this election's turning out to be a weird one, ain't it? Republicans attacking Trump for his right view on the abortion issue. I am a clear believer if the Constitution gives it to the states, guess what? That means it gives it to the states. And by our Constitution standards, if it is not listed in the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the states. Of course, federal government just jumps all over everything, and they're like, oh, we have to control this. We have to Y'all don't know any better. You don't know. Same with our education. That's the reason our education system is crap, is because the government gets too involved in it. That's honestly the truth. They give you these all these regulations, and half of them don't make sense, like this one. But speaking of the craziness in the Republican Party right now, it looks like the Republican Party is just all over the place, ain't it? They're attacking Trump, and honestly, I don't understand what's going on the national level anymore. Crap, the state level. It looks like they've all gone mad. I was never expecting the Republican Party to be sane at this point, because again, it's filled with so many rhinos that I don't want to even call myself a Republican. If you notice on the show, I always call myself a Jeffersonian conservative. And we'll actually get to that in this episode. Not a whole description or anything, but we'll get to that. But it looks like now the Republican Party is going after Speaker of the House Johnson. Mike Johnson is getting threatened to get his gavel taken away once again. And this is a continuing trend in the Republican Party. We've already unseated one Speaker of the House, which hasn't been done in a very long time. I can't remember the years, but it's been a long time that its own party has been like, we want you gone. And that's what we did. And now we're doing the same thing to Speaker of the House Johnson. We have people threatening to take him out. Now, I'm not going to say I disagree with the decision, because we're continuing to send money to foreign aid. One time, maybe to our allies, I could understand it. I'm okay with, Israel getting one. But the funny thing about it is we sent it for Israel to reinforce its border, but we have an open border problem here in America. We have a money problem here in America. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of us spending money. I get it. These are our allies and we should help. But we have two major problems here in America that we should be focusing on. One of them being the fact that we probably do need to, and I hate to say it because I hate the government spending money, but we need to fix the border. And then two, we have to stop spending money. We've sent them billions upon billions upon billions of dollars into Ukraine. And one of them was for their politicians to get paid or something like that. And I'm like, that's not even for the people that need it. Again, there are other countries in this world that could support the Ukraine, but they're only going after us because we just print money like it's no problem. And I hate to tell you, but it's going to continue and continue to wreak havoc on our economy. We need to balance the budget. Not only that, we need to pay off our debt. And that's people that's impossible. So we should continue to keep on spending. And I'm like, that might be the dumbest logic I've ever heard in my life. So because you think we can't pay it back, you want to keep spending money and go more and more into debt? What country are we leaving for my generation and the next generation? Because, my generation now is starting to enter the workforce. I'm probably a bit on the older end of Gen Z. And, I'm starting to go out into the world for the first time, really get involved in politics. The millennials time is, been hard established. Gen X is hanging on by a miracle. Some of them are in politics. But, that we're just screwing up the country. I honestly, I don't know what we'll ever call the next generation. There's always so much confusion on that, but we're screwing them. You screwed mine. You screwed the millennials. And I think I talked about this on the Senator Roger Wicker video. There's a plan to balance the budget and pay off everything during the Obama administration, like early on in the Obama administration. And Roger Wicker voted against it. And it's like, y'all just like spending money. I honestly think that they feel so happy to spend money, and they look around and they're like, yeah, we did good. No, you're spending my money. You're sending it to other countries that, yeah, they could probably use it, but we don't have it to give. We've given and we've given and we've given to the UN, to other countries, to countries in war. We're broke. We need to tighten the belt for a couple of years, people. Because if we don't, there won't be an America for all you people to get money from. Again, I think we should be helping Israel, but I'm not talking about sending troops. And at this point, I can't even talk about giving money because we can't. That's awful for them. I feel for them. One of the most persecuted people in the world. I feel for them. I do. And as a Christian, Israel's the Holy Land. But we can't just give money we don't have anymore. We have been doing that for a long time now, and someone's going to have to do the uncomfortable thing and be like, part of me wants to. It does. But we can't do it anymore. It's time to cut back on federal government departments. It's time to cut back on a lot of things. We need to tighten the belt because we have $0. If we can't balance our budget, heck, if we keep adding stuff that costs billions of dollars, how much money has this man sent over this time? $95 billion aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Again, one of the things for Israel they asked for was border security. That's a riot. That really is right there. We can't do it, but y'all can. Here's the money to do it. And something has to give on this. And honestly, yeah, he has not been the best Republican, but it speaks to a larger issue in the party. The fact of the matter is, how do you think this looks to regular Americans? People on the fence are people my age getting into politics and deciding really what their political identity is going to be. Because, your first election when you're 18, 19, or heck, even 20, you're more likely doing what your parents say or what your friends say. But when you get into your mid-20s, you're making the decisions now. It is up to you to inform on your political identity. And honestly, if I wasn't already a conservative, I would look at the Conservative Party and be like, what the heck are they doing? We've already taken down one of our own leaders. The other leader on the Senate side is in his 80s. We have Republicans bickering and bickering and bickering. When they're in their power, they really don't get anything done. We're supposed to be for small government, but yet we keep voting on huge spending bills and more government involvement. You kind of look back and you're like, what the heck is going on? And that's kind of what I want to get into in a minute. So we're going to take a quick commercial break so it won't interrupt the talk. But, that's something I want to dive into in this next half is what the heck is happening with the Republican Party. But we will be right back after these messages. All right, we're back. And, I kind of want I kind of want to spend a whole episode on this, so don't be shocked if we hear it down the line and I kind of do a bit more research into it. Again, that might be a whole episode because shocking news. I have, how much work I put in that Roger Wicker episode. There's a couple episodes coming up that I really want to do that again for something like that. I want to do an episode called The Dark Truth about Joe Biden and the truth about Donald Trump, kind of give a rundown of the opponents before Election Day. And I want to do one on the Constitution, but also I want to do one on the split in the Republican Party because holy cow, is it crazy. Like, it just doesn't stop. We have so much infighting. Golly, I just cannot catch a break, can I? I've had to pause this episode more than any episode I've ever filmed before. So I'm sorry if this episode's all over the place. That's just where I'm at. But yeah, between Republican leadership on a national level, heck, I can bring it down to the state and local level. But I'll start at the national level. And again, we'll have a whole episode talking about this at some point. The national leadership of the Republican Party. Speaker of the House, and of course, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's in his 80s. He's not really knocking it out of the ballpark with the current generation. And two, he is just that typical old school rhino. He is in it for the money. He is in it for the fame. He gets to feel important. That's why Mitch is doing this. Not to serve the American people. Not to serve conservative people, but for the attention. And then you have Speaker of the House Johnson and the guy that preceded him. I really can't remember his name. That's embarrassing. But, we've knocked down one speaker that we elected, and we're going to knock down another one. And it's because of this split in the party. We don't have definitive leadership. We don't have what is the heart and soul of the Republican Party? Because it's not conservative values. We all know that at this point. Heck, look at the state level. You have our Speaker of the House, Delbert Hosemann, and on a bit of a better side, but not by much, Tate Reeves. And they're all pushing Medicaid expansion now. And I noticed it today where liberals are attacking conservatives that are standing up and being like, why are y'all against it? Your own party's for it. That doesn't mean it's conservative. It doesn't. You have to stand by your morals as a conservative. Because if you don't, that's when you lose people, because so many Republicans don't stand by the moral of the conservative thought process that we are very untrusting. And it's bad, I will admit. And then you go from the state level to local level, where local Republican leadership is not even calling out state or national. They're like, this is great. I'm like, no, it's not. You're running the city, the state, and the nation in the ground. You're basically helping the liberals do it. Because you are just wanting to make money. Go work for a Fortune 500 company. Get out of the nation politics. But it's all over the place. And yeah, that's something that pissed me off today, is the fact that people are calling out Tate Reeves as, oh, here's Tate being Tate again. He's not going to do Medicaid expansion. I'm like, that's not a Republican value. It's not. I hate to tell you, it's not. The government paying for anything, not a conservative value. And they're trying to push it as, oh, well, this is now it's more conservative. Now it's more this and now it's more that. It's like, first off, you're going to have to raise taxes to do it, and you're going to get the government more involved. Tell me the conservativeness in that. You know, if you make the economy great and maybe help or the churches step up and do what they're supposed to do, you don't need Medicaid. Go look in Canada. Everybody always says Canada's great, and Canada will look, well, we have free Medicaid, or we have free Medicaid, or whatever they call it up there. They have Medicaid, they're not like nationally funded, but you know the wait times are hours, days. It's not good. We used to be the best nation in the world. Used to is the operative word, because we were free market, free choice. And I don't mean that how it does now. Free choice means basically freedom of speech and other stuff, not the right to kill kids. But you got to do so much of that, the government's involvement. That's what we were founded on. But decades of horrible leadership, decades of slow corruption have finally come home to roost. We must get America back on track. Heck, if we could just get the Republican Party back on track, at this point, I'm coming to the conclusion that I don't know, like the Republican Party is just so much chaotic. But the sad thing is we're in a two-party system. I hate to say it, but we are. Until America wakes up and one of these parties goes away, because they're really close to each other. We need a real conservative party. I've never really considered the Republican Party home of conservatism. We'll have a Ronald Reagan every now and then, a Barry Goldwater, stuff like that. But honestly, we've had a lot more rhinos than we've had conservatives. Think about it. I honestly don't know. Again, I'll do a full episode on this Republican Civil War that's happening, because Republicans are starting to get divided now, even on the corruption side. Now you have real conservatives, soft conservatives, conservative diet. We'll call them conservative diet. And then you have Republicans, basically rhinos. So you have the rhinos getting mad at the conservative lights because they're somewhat conservative, but they're somewhat not. They'll be conservative for like a couple of votes, and then all of a sudden switch. Then all of a sudden switch back. It's like you get whiplash from it. And then you have actual true conservatives. I consider that Jeffersonian conservatism. You don't have to call it that. That's what I'm just going to call it, because in my mind, conservative thought goes all the way back to Thomas Jefferson. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm a history major. I've read a couple articles and historical documents on it, and that's just how I feel best to identify my political beliefs, is I'm a Jeffersonian conservative, because the word conservative is taking a hit. The word Republican's taking a major hit. And honestly, at this point, I just feel like that's what a conservative is you are a Jeffersonian conservative. But, we'll get into that on the whole Republican Civil War. It's crap. It's crap. And it's not going to be fixed with one presidential election. I hate to tell you. Y'all are going to have to get out and vote out senators and representatives. That is my crying beg. And I still stand by Chris McDaniel's thought process. He said to me one time, we have to get local and state under control before we can get federal under control, because the states are supposed to run the country, not the federal government. The federal government, okay, I might confuse you there. The federal government, yes, is supposed to be representatives of the country. They're supposed to, follow the will of the people, because the people really run the country. But the states are supposed to kind of step in when the federal government's getting too powerful and be like, hey, we are protecting the rights of the people in Mississippi. You are not following what multiple states and people of these great lands think you should be doing. You're imperiling, you're crossing over and hitting our rights. Until you get states that stand up as a people, as a Mississippian, as a Floridian, as a Texan, and being like, no, you move because something's wrong with you and we're not, we won't get anywhere. And as soon as we get states under control and local government under control, then it's going to be a piece of cake to get federal government under control. But right now, we're all putting our hopes and dreams into president after president after president. I heard everybody have their hope and dreams on Trump. Trump was a good president. I enjoyed his time in office. My bank account really enjoyed his time in office. But what did he change? He opened a lot of people's eyes to the Republican Party, yes. But what does that change? He's lost an election. You know, do I think there was some election fraud? Yes, I do. I think our election process needs to be more refined. But, you know, he is endorsing rhinos. He endorsed Roger Wicker. And that really hurt me. And I honestly don't know how to deal with it. And I mean, I guess I get it. You're trying to make sure you can get some of that Republican money because they're trying to hit you at your personal money. So you're taking a hit on all sides here and you're trying your best. But I don't know. I don't. But I can go ahead and tell you, if you're hoping for a president to come in and fix it, he won't. Donald Trump can make it better. I will personally be voting for Trump in November. I think he is the right man to lead the country. But people, you have to realize that if you want to make some lasting changes, you have to win over your Congresses, state and federal. That's the only way we can get this country back on track, is Congress. There's a reason why Congress is, like, in Mississippi, it's the most powerful branch. And on the national level, it is too. You know, you get a lot more eyes on the president. Yes, you do. That is the heavy burden of the presidency. Is you get a lot of stuff thrown on your lap, and it's a very powerful position, which it shouldn't be, but it is. But here's the thing. If you want to make some everlasting change and not some change that will only last 4 years, because I guarantee you, if a real conservative is not elected after Trump's 4 years, because he can only run once. So in 4 years, in 2048, we don't elect another conservative, well, the 4 years of work are out the window, because just as much as Joe Biden has screwed up America, Trump will work these next 4 years very hard to get us back on track. But if you don't get control of Congress, any lasting change won't mean anything, because as soon as the next president comes in, he can screw it all up. That's why Congress is there in the first place. We need to pass some amendments to the Constitution. That's hard for a reason. The reason they don't pass amendments to the Constitution is because it's so hard. So they do these laws that lets them kind of slide under the radar. It's a bit easier. But we need term limits. We need to make sure that our government passes a balanced budget and some type of plan to pay off the debt and get this country back on track. But I'm getting migraine. I ranted long enough. I feel like I just went off the rails towards the end. I apologize. But I hope you got what you've been waiting for on this episode of the Conservative Colonel podcast. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you give me. I honestly just love doing this. I can't get enough of it. I hate that this week has a shorter episode, but Saturday's episode will be an hour. I will be, researching that episode. I already got some stuff for it, but I'm going to go straight into researching it so I can film it Thursday, tomorrow, when this episode airs. So yeah, make sure you check us out on all of our platforms. Check out conservativecolonel.com. check out the Right Side Radio. That was released yesterday, Wednesday. And check out Chris McDaniel's America this Friday. Both are just phenomenal, top-rate conservative shows that I honestly think, again, Chris McDaniel is the leadership that the Conservative Party needs. I hope you, again, please go over and share Chris McDaniel's America, like it, comment, download it, wherever you're at. Please go support it because we need to get that thing flooding social media because, again, I think he's the only hope the Conservative Party has. Well, that being said, God bless America and God bless Mississippi. Good night.